Welcome, friends, to our One Life Fully Lived webinar for August 2014. We've got a tremendous guest today, Mr. Pratt, who's a national trainer, motivator, and Mr. Passion himself. But before we get to Haas, I've got a few quick announcements. First announcement is our webinar for September will be June Florence, based out of Steamboat Springs, Colorado. June is a food nutrition specialist. And if you want to get more out of your life and live a passionate One Life Fully Lived, you'll want to tune in next month, because June is going to help you fuel your body and mind for high performance. So tune in next month. I believe it's September 4th for June Florence at 4 p.m. for our next One Life webinar. One other event we have coming up is our One Life Fully Lived conference, which is November 8th and 9th in Reno, Nevada. If you haven't signed up for the conference, we're available to do that now at One Life Fully Lived. So make sure you sign up to our One Life conference. And now I'd like to tell you about my good friend Pratt. Haas sold real estate for 3 short years, and in that time he sold $20 million worth of real estate in a very short period, and then followed his passion, and that was to train people how to get the most out of themselves, and that's what Haas is going to bring to us today. He's a nationally renowned speaker, trainer, motivator. And the one word that's going to come through that you'll all catch with Haas is the word passion. So without further ado, my good friend, Pratt. Take it away, Haas.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Hopefully everybody can see me. I'm in my office here, home office here in Plano, Texas. I wish I could see everybody out there. That's my goal today. My goal is to leave every one of you better than I found you, to share with you the 5 golden keys to exceptional success. The 5 keys that I would say that, if you had to depend on these five keys to become successful, this is what I would want. These are the things that I wish I would have known years and years ago. And that's my goal, is to give you these, and again, leave you better than I found you. And I thank you, Tim, for that awesome introduction, and thank you for having me. One Life Fully Lived. It's an incredible organization. I proudly support it, and I thank you guys for joining us. So, my name is Pratt. I'm founder of Success Systems and CEO of Fuel Lead Systems. And today I'm going to show you a couple different things. But again, the goal is to leave you better than I found you, and it's going to take 2 things for that to happen. Me give you these keys and deliver them in a way that will make tremendous sense to go out there and execute. But second, there's something on your part that you have to do, and that's take action. That's implement. And that's implement these things, because information without action is just information. It's useless. It doesn't do anything. So let's take action today, and my promise to you is to make it well worth your time. So here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to show you how to gain more clarity by being more strategic in your approach, in your day-to-day, in your business. I'm going to show you how to create a vision for your life that's going to create a burning desire to achieve your purpose in life. Why you must get real with your environment and what it means to your success to do so. I'm going to show you how to easily make a plan that will be your roadmap to a fulfilled life. Show you how to take more action and eliminate your fear from your life. And that's the one thing that stops most people. I mean, we all have fear, but it's just some people manage their fear better than others. I'm going to show you how to do that by eliminating the 3 enemies of action. And I'm going to show you how to avoid them, plus much more. Now, I'd encourage you to I'm going to talk fast, so it's going to be like drinking from a fire hydrant. I have about 40 minutes here, and there's a lot to cover, in the 5 things to experience tremendous success, to communicate in 40 minutes. So I'm going to come at you fast, and hopefully you guys can hang and ride as fast as I go. So here's the thing about becoming successful. If you don't know what that means to you, and you don't have a vision, it makes it really difficult. And so regardless of where you are, think about where you want to go. And it's to have a vision. I mean, I love this quote by Bob Moawad that says, most people don't aim too high, and miss, they aim too low and hit. And that's the problem. So think about this. In your life right now, where is it that you want to be? I mean, we all have two choices, right? This is advice that my mentor shared with me whenever I was, I was 19 years old, and I was, in Northwest Missouri working on a dairy farm. And he said, we all have two choices. You can either make a living or you can design a life. And I don't know about you guys, but you're on this webinar for a reason. You're seeking, and the finding is reserved for the seekers. So for that, that I applaud you. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm about designing a life, and that's what you're here for. Is how do you design a life? What does that life look like? And for me, I always had passion. I've always been excited. I've always been an entrepreneur at heart from the very beginning. I remember, growing up in Northwest Missouri. We used to milk 250 head of cattle, and in high school, I used to get up at 3:30 in the morning to go milk 250 cows. I'd get done, go to school, come back, and milk the cows again in the afternoon. But one thing it taught me, or two things, was discipline, yes, but more importantly, that I didn't want to be a dairy farmer my whole life. And I barely made it through high school because I was just a wild entrepreneur at heart. I couldn't be contained. I was wild and free. And for me, I knew that I didn't want to do what everybody else did. I didn't want to go follow the same path that, let's go to school, let's get a job. I wanted to start my own business, and that's what I did. I started a lawn service in high school. We were mowing 90 lawns a week. I built the business. I sold it to my brother, who he still operates the business today. And that was my goal. I wanted to build a business for my brothers and give it to them to where they can do the same and they can experience success. But more importantly, I believe we all have these people in our life. And for me, that person was Jim Knight, who was my mentor, who was a millionaire at the time. And he took me under his wing and he showed me a lot. He taught me a lot of things that they didn't teach me in those walls at the school. That's actually my high school right there in that picture. I'm looking at him. I'm glad I'm not there anymore. I like the life that we live today, living the dream. But, Jim was a guy to me that, he taught me things they didn't teach me in those walls. And that's part of where these keys today came from, was the wisdom and the advice that he gave for me and some, that I've learned along the way. But one of the things that he did for me was he convinced me at a young age to move. And he said, I was running a successful lawn business. He goes, Hosh, you got to sell it. I said, why? He said, because you can make $100,000 a year in this town. That's what you're going to make. But you can make $1 million a year elsewhere. And you're not going to reach your true potential unless you get outside your environment. And I look at that advice today, and it was the best advice he's ever given me. I mean, today I have a family. I do what I love every single day. I've accomplished everything I set out to accomplish. And that was because of the advice that he gave me, because I chose to take action. And that's what I did. I moved to Dallas, Texas, and it was at 2:30 in the morning. I drove my F-350 truck, and I had my 36-inch JVC TV in my suitcase, and I moved to Dallas, Texas, in a market where I didn't know anybody, and I get in real estate. And like Tim said, I built my real estate business successfully. I failed at first, but I seeked a coach and mentors, and I learned the things that I needed to learn to make it successful. And I built that real estate business, and I sold it. And I sold 2 businesses since this time, but it all started with changing my environment. If I could give anybody advice, it's not to change your environment. Some of you need to. Most people need to change some part of our environment, because you become a product of your environment. I know this. When I go back home, where all my family is in Missouri, everybody's the same as what they were, 15 years ago. They haven't changed. My friends that I grew up with in high school are still doing the same thing. Where, I changed my environment, and I grew so much to the point to where I outgrew my friends. I outgrew a lot of the acquaintances that I had growing up. And so think about what your environment is, right? Some great advice is, whether it be your work, your friends, is your environment an environment that you want to become a product of? And for some of you, that's hard to face. It's hard to look at your environment and say, you know what, I don't want to become a product of my environment, or this environment. I want to change. But here's what happens. When you escape that environment, I knew this. When I moved to Dallas, and I was an entrepreneur in a big city, I didn't know anybody here, and it created so much awareness of what I was lacking. And the old environment didn't show me that. It didn't reflect my weaknesses, but when I changed my environment, my weaknesses were evident. They were clear because my environment was performing at a high level, and obviously, I was not at that time. So think about your environment. And I love what One Life Fully Lived is. I love this webinar platform. You guys come here and learn from other entrepreneurs because this is what it takes. They don't have, I know I didn't learn this stuff in school. This is stuff my mentor taught me. But be a part of a mastermind group. Join a mastermind group. Get a part of other like-minded people that want more from life because, they say it's lonely at the top because most people, aren't willing to do what it takes to get there. But surround yourself with those winners and you will become a product of that same environment. Now, here's the thing that I did. And I did this at age 25. And I sat down and I looked at where I wanted my life to be. I did it at age 20. I'm always self-reflecting. I'm going to show you how to do this in a minute. But I want you to think about your life and your business, or if you want to start a business. Think about where you want to be in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 years, even 10 years from today. So just stop and reflect and think about that. Where is it that you want to be? What is it that you want? Strategize how to get it, but live your life on purpose. Meaning, know what you want. I always knew, for me, I was always different. I knew that I wanted to become more, but the difference is I knew that I was going to become more because I knew that I was going to do the things that were required. And that's part of having a clear vision that's what fueled it. So if you don't have a vision, you don't know where you're going, it's real hard to do the things that are necessary. So think about what it is that you want. If you had a genie in a bottle that said you can have this perfect life, what is it? What does this life look like? And write them down. And not only write them down, just write. Just write if you could have everything that you want to achieve in your life. Write it down. I did this at age 18, and if I look at the things that I achieved on that list today, it would be most of them. I did it again whenever I was 25. If I look at it, I'm 32 today, and I would have achieved most of them. It changes, and it's always growing. But something happens whenever you write down your vision, write down your goal and your purpose of what you want. And I encourage you to do that because if you reflect on what you have to do in order to achieve it and who you have to become in the process. And think big. People don't think big enough. I know this. I mean, for me, I didn't think big enough at the beginning. And most people don't. I coach. I have a real estate coaching company and a software company. And so part of what we do is we help people achieve their goals. And the first thing we start is what is it that you want? And they think, well, they can't think beyond the next closing or the next paycheck. Right? Well, I just want to have a good month next month. Eliminate that. Think bigger. 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years. And I'm going to show you some examples of this. And that's, so as you go through and I show you these keys, I'm going to help you connect these dots. But I want to first give you permission to do that, to dream, to think big, and be okay with nobody understanding your vision and nobody getting you. Us entrepreneurs, it's a lonely world as an entrepreneur because we go through life misunderstood, and people don't understand us, and they don't know why we do the things that we do, and we embrace that, and that for me is that's why I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love it. I embrace it. That's why I love what you guys are doing at One Life Fully Lived, and connecting those dots for people. So the golden key number 2 is make a plan. So think about this in your planning, right? And you have your vision, you know what you want. How is it that you connect these dots? How is it that you achieve the success? How do you make this vision a reality? People overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year, and they underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. And that's a fact. And I want you to know that. Most people, they set their goals so lofty the first year, they can't even think big enough to 5 years. And I'll share with you my vision. And I was going through and I was thinking about, just this. I was thinking about this today. I was reflecting of where I am today at age 32. And I look at where I was at 25, and I was going through my journal and I was reading it, and I pulled this from my journal at age 25 on what I wanted. And at 32, at 30, it said here, this is my vision. I'm going to share some with you. I wanted to be a millionaire at age 30. At age 25, by the way, I'm running a real estate team in Dallas, Texas. I'm successful, but nowhere near where I wanted to be. And I knew that I needed to take steps, to take action in order to fulfill a bigger vision. And I wanted to be a millionaire at age 30. And I was single at the time, and I wanted to marry a Texas girl. That's part of me from being from Missouri. I come to Texas, and there's beautiful women. I'm just like, they're awesome. I'm like, I just want to marry a Texas girl. I want a Texas wife. That was as funny as in my journal. And it's true. And I wanted to be an authority in my field. Field of real estate. My mentor told me, he said, stick with what you know. Develop your life to a craft, to a field that you can master. Real estate has always been that to me. It's always been, I've always wanted to learn more and to grow more within the real estate industry as a whole. And that, I wanted to grow a coaching business. I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to write books. I wanted freedom. I didn't have freedom at 25. I was working my butt off. I was, I was working 80 hours a week. And it was just, on the hamster wheel, just working hard. And then I wanted a family of 3 children. And so my plan to do this was I was going to be successful. So if I wanted to become a speaker and I wanted to be a coach and I wanted to be an author, how am I going to become an authority in my field where people would listen to me? Well, I had to go create that story. I had to create the story of how I came from nothing, no college, barely made it through high school, to moving to Dallas, Texas, a market where I didn't know anybody, getting in real estate, losing $50,000 my first 6 months, no closings, no buyers, no sellers, and then all of a sudden I hire a coach and he turns on the lights and he shows me a new way. And I went from no business to 30 listings every single month, and took 30 listings every month until I built my business to the point to where I built it and I sold it. That's the story that I had to create that I didn't have at the time. And so when I say be successful, create a story, that's what I had to go to work on to create. And I knew in order to create that story that I had to grow in multiple areas. I had to grow in the area of my relationships. I had to grow in the area of my finances. I had to grow in the area of my personal development. And I knew this, that in order to grow, I had to take massive action. So I had to start speaking, right? So I committed then to do 1,000 seminars in the next 5 years. I committed to coaching more than 4,000 one-on-one hours. And at the time, I didn't know where this was going to come from. I had no idea, right? I just wrote it down. And I wanted to be the marketer of the year for Glacier Kennedy Insider Circle, who was my mentor in the area of marketing. And I wanted to become the man that my future wife would marry. Now, who is this beautiful Texas woman, going to marry? I had to get more balance, more freedom in my life in order to give her the life that she desired. So I went to work on that, and I made it all happen for the most part. My results from that age of 25 at age 29, I was a millionaire. I married my wife, my best friend. That's actually my family right there. It was taken a few weeks ago in Disney World. And I look at that picture, and it all that manifested, all that happened between that age of where I was to now. And I built a multi-million-dollar coaching and software company. But more importantly, I enjoy freedom every single day. Every day I eat breakfast, lunch, dinner with my girls, and my 2-year-old and 1-year-old there. And I work, I travel a lot, but whenever I'm here, I'm able to enjoy it. But I have freedom. And part of that, having that freedom, and it came from knowing that I wanted the freedom. I knew I wanted to be free at age 30. And I knew that there were steps that I had to take in order to achieve that freedom, in order to attract my most amazing best friend wife, right? That's what I wanted. And I knew there was a lot of hard work. And so this is what's great about this, though. And I look at that and I tell you this story and I think, wow, that was pretty on purpose, right? I mean, I look at my friends and I'm like, people that I am around, most people that I'm around are, in their 50s, right? I mean, it's just kind of the way it is for me. I've always had, people that I've always surrounded myself with people that were at least 20 years older than me, more wisdom than my, other fellow 25-year-olds. But my mentor, this is Mr. Tony Geary. He's a guy that I've learned a ton from. If you don't know Tony, he's this guy's amazing on getting clarity and being strategic. And he says, get clear on what you want to have, share, experience, and perhaps most importantly, what you want to become. And every once in a while, we're blessed to be able to put in, meet people like Tony, to where I see him and I'm like, whoa, I thought I was strategic. I thought I was on purpose. And I see him and I see what he does. And this was just even not that long ago, I was at his house and he shows me his vision board. Now I'm at a point where I have a family. and I have girls. You know, he has 2 girls. They're amazing girls, and you know, just an amazing family. And I know for Tony, he's successful in all areas of his life. He's, you know, he is that. You know, he's that, to me, that person. And we all have that person that, man, that's who I have to become. If you don't, you need that person, because once you have that person, you're aware. When I saw this board, I knew that there was, you know, I was not near as strategic as I needed to be. You don't see this, but in the middle of that board, Tony he had on here on the board, he had these 12 bullets of what his daughter's future husband would, the characteristics and the traits that they would have to have. And I looked at it and I thought, what is that? He goes, when my girls were young, we sat down, we created this vision board. This is my side. This is, you know, my daughters are in there in the middle, and my wife's on the right. And as a family, we had this vision board. And I don't have a family vision board, y'all. I know I saw this, and I'm like, I need that. I need that. And he had these 12 things, and I thought, that's on purpose. That's strategic, to sit your daughter down at age, you know, what was she, 10, and talk this through, and to have these conversations. And that's what, you know, for me, you know, I've been able to be surrounded by people like Tony, people like Tim, you know, other people out there that where you see, you know, what they're doing, and you see what they've achieved, and then you're able to see how you need to self-reflect and become more. And Tony taught me that. I mean, it's being on purpose with everything, being strategic, because through those 2, you're able to gain clarity. And a lot of people out there are lost. They're asleep. They're not awake because they don't have clarity, because they don't have the purpose. They're not very strategic. And that's what I want to talk about on my 3rd step is this, is once you have your vision, once you have you have a plan, you know what you need to do. And most of you have an idea of what you need to do. Most do. And it's and I love this quote by Napoleon Hill. And most of us all have heard Napoleon Hill. I think that, you know, we can't hear enough of him. But he says, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment. And I here and now promise to render such action. And that's the most important part of being a successful entrepreneur and experience exceptional success, is to be a person who just is always taking action. This is actually hangs in my office, and I love this because most of you can relate. It says, I believe anything is possible. I see the opportunity when others see impossibility. I take risks. I'm focused. I hustle. I know that nothing is unrealistic. I feel overwhelming love. I embrace my childlike wonder and curiosity. I take flying leaps into the unknown. I contribute to something bigger than myself. I create. I learn. I grow. I do. I believe it's never too late to start living a dream, and I am an entrepreneur. And that right there is what, to me, being an entrepreneur is all about. It's being able to be free and have the freedom to be able to live your life on your terms, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, why you want to do it, and not be dependent on anything else out there, and other than your ability to continue to grow. And for me, that is why I do what I do. That's why I built a coaching company and able to help other people, because everything depends on your ability to take action. Everything depends on that. And most people know what they need to do, but they let their fear of the unknown stop them from taking action. Let me tell you something about that. If you have any fear right now of taking action because you have uncertainty, that right there is the opposition. That is the opposite of fulfilling your life's purpose. Every one of us are guided. Every one of us has a purpose. We got to get really clear with what that is. And if we know what that is, then all the fear does and all the not taking action is just reasons. It's not stepping out there in the unknown. And every one of you, if you took that step that you know you need to take and you took it, just know this: you will grow into the person you have to become in order to achieve the result that you want to achieve. You can't grow into that without taking the step. So don't ever be scared, because I'll tell you, I'm going to share this with you here in a minute, but you always got to look at people of I always look at people who take action, and I'm surrounded by action takers. I mean, every day I talk to just incredibly successful people, and I'm just like a kid in a candy store. I am as curious as anybody. I'm asking so many questions. I want to know what they do, why they do it, what time they wake up, what time they go to bed, how do they plan their day. Those are the types of questions I ask, because a person of action always has more energy around them, right? People are attracted to a person of action. They move quickly, right? Not only do they move quickly, but they also make decisions quickly, and they're slow to change their mind. The reason it's important is because money follows them. Money follows a person of action. The person of action is always growing. A person of action is always taking action in spite of fear, because obviously the fortune favors the bold. But yet many people move out of the way for a person of action. Often, but they're caught up in his wake. Create a wave of success for people to follow. Be a person of action. Always be paying attention. I was once told, when you're driving, always looking for signs, always paying attention to your surroundings, always just on purpose, always thinking, always being of energy. And that's been advice that that I've been able to see. Even our most successful clients, real estate agents around the country, and entrepreneurs, the most successful are able to do that. The folks that aren't as successful typically allow these three enemies of taking action to operate. And think about a person that doesn't take action. If you're not taking action, you're not growing. If you're not taking action, you're not operating at your full capacity. You're not going to become what you need to become if you're not taking action. And absence of clarity, lack of focus, and poor execution will be the three things that will prevent most people from taking action. If you're not real clear about your future, and you're not real clear about your purpose, your absence of clarity, or if you're not focused, or you're not, you're just numb, there's no passion, there's no energy, you're not going to execute right. You're not going to execute well. So I want to just challenge you to do this, is to just take action. Step out there, make it happen. Decide to take more action. Decide that, I am tired of living life the same way that I've been living it. I'm going to change what I'm doing. I'm going to take action. I'm going to take the steps necessary in order to achieve my goals, because without action, you're never going to achieve your goals. It's a farce. It's not reality. Through action, you'll achieve them. Decide. Look at where your life is right now. Are you happy with where you are today? I know for this, when I got in real estate, I was broke my first 6 months. I blew $50,000 in poor marketing and execution because I wasn't aware. I didn't know what I needed to know. And ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance costs you 50 grand or more. And what happens is through that process, if you're not able to look at that and say, if I keep going the same path I'm going, I'm going to be milking cows again. And that is not an option. Failure is not an option. I must take action to change. So look at your life on where you are. Are you happy with where you are? And where are you the last, because today's a direct result of your actions the last 6 months. So if you want a different result 6 months from today, then guess what you have to do? You've got to change. You got to change what you're doing. Change your attitude. Change your environment. Change your work ethic, your habits. And I always like this. People always, well, I don't take action because so-and-so doesn't have faith in me. So-and-so, they doubt me. You have haters. You know what? If I look back at all the people that supported me, I can count on one hand. Most people looked at me, going into what I went through, selling a successful business, moving to a new market as what? He'll be back. He'll be back. He'll come home. Why? Because most everybody does. And we all have naysayers. But it's important that you can operate outside of everybody else's belief about you, right? It's not about what other people believe about you. It's what you believe in yourself. And this day came to me. Well, I remember one time, whenever I was in my teens at the time, and I was mowing lawns, and I was making well over 6 figures a year, in my teenage years of building and growing a successful lawn business. And the one that's still in business today, and it's the biggest, lawn service in the area, landscape business. So think about it like this: this gentleman who I grew up with pulls up. I'm in my back of my trailer filling up my commercial mowers, and he pulls up next to me. And he looks and he goes. He just kind of shakes his head, and I was like, "Yeah, well, hey, how's it going?" And he just looked at me. He said, "When are you going to get a real job?" And I looked at him like, you have no idea, sir. You are so confused. Because people don't get entrepreneurs. The people that aren't entrepreneurs don't get us. And it's in our spirit. It's who we are. And he didn't get us because he was not an entrepreneur. In fact, he was with the same company for 20 years because he's let his fear prevent him from ever doing what he truly wanted to do. And he looked at me as that thing that he could have became, and it made him bitter. And most people do. And what happens is when you have those people who, on your pursuit of success or your pursuit of excellence, you're going to have people that are going to look at you and think, you can't do this. You're not going to do this. That's a stupid idea. That's a bad idea. Don't do it. I'm not going to support you, because it's their own insecurities. And you realize this, and the faster you can realize this, the more numb you're going to be to having naysayers and haters prevent you that will support you. And that's important. So go become what you're going to become, and go become that thing that they see, that who they can become. And that's what I see. I look at all those people that ever doubted me. Now they find strength from me, because now I am what they can become. Now I'm a true story. Now I am the one that made it from where they are. And they all went through phases, and we all do, but it's important to keep on keeping on, because we all have a life purpose. I just chose to fulfill it. And some do and some don't. But here's the thing. This is a fact, that taking action are the steps on those stairs that will take you from where you are to you want to go. So you are here where you are today based on your current skills, capacity, knowledge, ability, right? In order to get from where you are right now to where you want to go, who do you got to become? Those steps on the stairway up is all about taking action. Taking action and growing, becoming someone you're not, becoming somebody you're not currently. I am no longer the person I once was. I can't even relate to the person that I once was today, other than growth, right? Becoming and growing. And that's the most important key, is grow. Go from, I know for me it was, how do I go from building a multi-million-dollar business, millionaire by the time I'm 30, when I didn't go to college, I barely made it through high school, and everybody always doubted me. When I always told them what I wanted to do, I always told them I wanted to build a successful business. I always told them I wanted to live a life on my terms. But guess what? The only reason that happened was because I was committed to becoming the person I had to become in order to truly achieve it. Not talking about it, being about it. Not just running my mouth, going out there and taking massive action to do the things necessary that I had to do to become that person. And that's golden key 4, which is grow. What do you mean by grow? Well, this quote right here says it all. Mr. Jim Rohn, who I say my parents raised me as a kid. Jim Rohn raised me as an adult. Even to this day, that guy has, every word he says, it just makes an impact on me. If you don't know him, go learn him. He is the man. He says this. He says, success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. When I was a broke entrepreneur, it was because I was chasing success. I wasn't becoming the person that I needed to become. And this philosophy truly is the one philosophy that will separate the successful folks from the ones that aren't as successful. There's the most successful people, they are committed to growth. They're students. And in fact, I was reading a Harvard business study the other day. And not that I sit around and read Harvard business studies, because I don't. I'm not going to make you think that. But I will tell you that I had another fellow entrepreneur, because I'm surrounded by amazing people who are always wanting to grow themselves and always pouring great positive information and sharing stuff with me. And this is something that was shared with me. They circled this because they thought that this was spot on, and I couldn't agree more. And they said this was a report on successful people from the Harvard Business Study on what the most successful people, successful entrepreneurs are like. And it said, whether because of natural personality or deliberate training, all of the successful leaders in the Harvard study reflected regularly on themselves, their successes and failures, their strengths and weaknesses. They often diagnosed their own problems before anyone else did. Without humility, though, it is impossible to be self-reflective. How can we acknowledge weakness and mistakes if we are not at all concerned with seeing ourselves as we truly are? Humility is the necessary virtue for all of us if we want to self-assess accurately, if we want to be the ones to change course when necessary before circumstances force our hands. So what this is saying is get real with where you are. Don't lie to yourself. Get real clear with what your mistakes are. Get clear with what your strengths are, and get clear with what you got to do, who you got to become. And let's do it now. Think about this. I know for me, if I look at my strengths and weaknesses, I look at it like this. At one time, at age 25, I was great at sales. I had a positive attitude, and I was a good networker. And I knew this, that if that's true, what Jim Rohn says, that I don't pursue success, I attract success by the person I become, and that philosophy is true. It's the only way to think when it comes to becoming better and achieving your goals and your purpose. But think about it like this. I thought, well, what if I could become twice as good of a marketer? What if I could become a better leader? What would happen to my income? Well, it would skyrocket. I was good at sales, but I wasn't at the time. I didn't know marketing, like I needed to. And so I knew that I needed to improve in that area, and I improved in that area. So for 6 months, all I did was read books on marketing. I went to seminars on seminars on marketing, hired coaches on marketing. I wanted to grow in the area of marketing to the point where I, would consider I mastered marketing, and at least somewhat, enough to double my income. But it wouldn't be accurate if we didn't know where we are in our weaknesses. So for weaknesses, think about, and we all have weaknesses. To this day, nobody's perfect. We all have weaknesses. But think about this, is that, what are your weaknesses? Where are you strong? Where are you weak? Are you weak in sticking to it? You give up easy. You don't have persistence. That's where a lot of people fail to succeed. They fail to succeed because they're not persistent enough. And you make up in numbers what you lack in skill. So, for me, I'm great at sales because I used to make 6 hours of phone calls every day. It didn't come because I was good at great salesmen aren't born, they're made, and I knew that I had to become better, and that's why I devoted the time to do that. But I need to become a better marketer. A lot of agents, entrepreneurs need to become better at time management or a better leader. So once we understand those strengths and weaknesses, then we can look at the different areas of our life, and we've all seen this the wheel of life. And more, I have paid attention to this wheel, and just in terms of having a full, balanced life. One life fully lived. I've seen so many people that are successful in finances. They're multimillionaires, but guess what? Their social life is in shambles, or they're unhealthy. How do you become better in each area? And I love what Tony Robbins says about fulfillment. He says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So don't be so naive to think that you can chase one area of your life and ignore another, and to think that you can gain true success. Success, is not always about finances. I know success can be, success is different to all of us. To me, success is being the best me that I can be in every single area of my life, and always self-reflecting accurately in all these areas, and growing and becoming more in all these areas, and being on a never-ending pursuit to learn and master and share and in all these areas. And your environment is crucial to seeing what a person who has achieved true success in finance means to you, or that person who at age 65 is unbelievably healthy. They have a body of a 30-year-old. We got to be able to see those people in order to know what we need to become. And some of the best advice that was ever given to me was this. And if I could leave anybody with this advice, I don't care where you are financially, personally, professionally, I don't care. Spiritually, here's the thing. It doesn't matter where you are. The only thing that matters is what you're going to do about it and what you're going to become. It doesn't matter. Your past background has nothing to do with it other than the meaning you give it. And this advice is always allowed me to always be honing that. And it's because I am always going to seminars, always hiring coaches, always. So I invest 10% back into my personal development. 10% of my income was devoted to becoming better. 10% off the top goes to hiring coaches. 10% off the top goes to going to seminars. 10% because they don't teach this stuff in school, right? They don't teach the stuff that we learn every day in school. That's why I have such a heart for what One Life Fully Lived stands for, and that's why I support it. That's why I love what Tim and the gang has put together, what they've done, and how they're growing. Because I didn't have that at an early age, and a lot of you don't have that, or you didn't have that. So this is the truth. This is the way. And so we got to be able to invest in ourselves in order to go learn from the people who have achieved it. So don't ever be scared to invest in yourself. Don't be scared to buy the book, but read the book. Don't be scared to take action and put it on a credit card when you know you can barely afford it to go to a seminar, because every one of you are one piece of information away from achieving any level of success that you want to achieve. You're one coach away, one seminar away, one mentor away, one book away. That's why the finding is always reserved for the seekers. Go seek, go learn, go find, and I can assure you that your life will only be better because of it. So invest in yourself, attend seminars, read books, listen to audio, hire coaches. I took a picture of this earlier just to show you. I've got in my office, I have stacks of name tags that I've collected over the years for going to seminars. I showed up to Dallas. I had one book. That's it. I had one book when I moved to Dallas, and I wanted to build a library, and that's only some of my books. It's actually the library right here behind me, right? But it's part of that came from investing in myself, but also from advice of mentors. I didn't just create this stuff. It's because I've always been a student. I've learned from smart people. And when I go to a millionaire's home, they don't have big TVs. They have libraries. And their energy and their time is spent consuming that information, being around that information, because they know in order for them to achieve their next step, what they need to do and how they need to, and who they need to become, it's in those books. So build a library. And brings me to my fifth golden key, and that is burn the boats. And it's a story that I'll share with you, and it's a story that it's about commitment. It's a story about being all in and being committed and not letting anything stop you, anyone stop you. This is your life. You only have one life. You don't get a do-over. This is it. Where are you? How do you choose to spend it is up to you. For me, I chose to spend it. I want my life to be a statement. I didn't want my life to be, an excuse. I wanted my life to be a statement, and I wanted to impact everybody else's life because I chose to live my life as a statement. And part of being committed and part of knowing what you want is asking yourself the question: are you willing to do what it takes every single day to be successful, to create that freedom in your life, to do the things, to be all in? And to achieve financial freedom, time freedom, freedom from authority, freedom from uncertainty. And I'm always reminded at those times. I mean, like I said, we all have fear. We all have doubts. I experience them. I experience them all the time. That's why every single day I start off every day consuming, reading, writing, just thinking, because, none of us are immune. But how we choose to spend that time is everything. So I look at, how to, sometimes I think, well, and I know we all do this. We have that thing, that reason, that excuse of why we can't do something. And I remember hearing this story about Hernando Cortez, and it's a story, I'll share it with you. Hernando Cortez was a conqueror, and in 1519, right? 1519, by the way, that's a long time ago. In 1519, he set out on a journey to take the world's richest treasure. This was a treasure that's been held by the same army for over 600 years. And 600 years, army after army tried to capture this treasure, and they all failed. And Cortez knew that he in order to get this treasure, in order to be successful, he had to do something different. Right? He was coachable, right? Army after army failed. He's not going to go in there and do the same thing that everybody else did. And so he knew that he had to have an army of men whose level of commitment was beyond that which an ordinary person considered commitment. They had to be so committed that there was no other excuse other than to win and succeed and to take the treasure. No other option. And so what he did is he sat the men down and he painted a vision for them, right? He painted a vision of what their lives would be different, how their lives would change, and how their children will grow up in wealth and in favor, and what their lives, what it's going to be like when they capture this treasure of jewels, silver, gold, and artifacts, and how their boats are going to be weighted down by all the treasure that there is going to impact generations. And he painted this picture to the point to where failure was not an option. And he set sail. And halfway through the voyage from where he was to the Yucatan Peninsula, and he realized that he had a problem, because these men who's were so sure before, fear started creeping in. They're like, hey, Mr. Cortez, are you sure that we're going to be able to do this? Are you sure that we're going to be able to capture this treasure? And so he knew that he had to have a different approach whenever he reached his destination. So as the boats ran the shores of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, he all the ships, and there was what was there, 500 soldiers, 100 sailors, 16 horses on 11 ships. All right, so they come in and they had all their their army, and he gathered everybody around, and he made everybody listen to talks to remind them what they were there to do, why they were there. And he gathered everybody around, and what happened next was he said three words that changed everything. And he gathered them around and he told his army, he said, burn the boats. And they said, excuse me? And he said, burn the boats. If we're going home in their boats, not our boats. And he said, burn the boats. And they burned their own boats. They burned them to the point to where, what was their option? It was either, take the treasure or die. I mean, they had to be committed. And I think about that story of burn the boats all the time. And I think about, Hernando Cortez and how he left all options off the table. He had to achieve success. And how so many people and so many of us on a consistent basis, we're always, we always have a boat. We always have is there a plan B? Is there a doubt? Is there something holding us back? And we need to burn the boats. You burn the boats, be committed, take action, do the necessary things that you got to do, and be committed to the vision. But always burn the boats, and don't ever let there be a plan B, because that's most of you. If you have a plan B, it's exactly what's preventing you from achieving plan A. So if I leave you with anything today, it's to burn those boats. It's to eliminate your options and to just be all in. But more importantly, you got to take action. Taking action is part of success, right? It's doing the things that are necessary. So I want to leave you with some action steps today that I believe will make a big difference in your lives. And it's something that I did years ago that and I still do it consistently. I always have my 100 list that write down the 100 things that you want to accomplish or do in your life. Some people call it the bucket list. It can be anything. It's just, what is it that you want to do and accomplish in your life? And some of you say, "Oh my gosh, that's hard. Oh, how could I do that?" I hear that all the time. And when you're telling them how to achieve their purpose and fulfill their vision, you tell them to write down 100 things. They don't know where to start. But it's funny how a lot of people spend more time in planning their weekend than they do their life. Isn't that funny? Right? I mean, it's just, let's do it. Write these 100 things down. Eliminate your barriers. There is no fear. There is no limitations. There's only your ability to take massive action and achieve these 100 things. And write them down and get clear, because it'll be really funny in 10 years how many of those things you've already achieved. Just because you knew and you put out there what you wanted to achieve. Next is create a vision board. Put those 100 things into images to where you can see them every day. Hang them up in your office. Hang them up in your mirror. Put it in front of you every single day to remind you of what you are put on this earth to do and what you need to do in order to achieve it. Create that vision board. Look at it. I showed you my mentor, Tony's vision board. Pat Hyven, who you guys have heard from. I remember going to Pat Hyven's office whenever he was. I was just starting real estate, and I see his vision board. It's as big as Tony's. There's a reason that he's as successful as he is, because he knew what he wanted. And that's what I encourage you to do. Next is write down a 5-year vision statement. Just like I read today in my own journal, and I shared it with you today. my vision of what I wanted to achieve in 5 years, who I needed to become, what I wanted to achieve. Next is sign up for a seminar. I believe this, signing up for a seminar, meeting people, other like-minded people. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, Hoss, who are your best friends? I said, I've got amazing friends. Amazing friends. The only bad part about it is most of them don't live around here. They're all around the country, right? I mean, I get together with my mastermind group, the guys that go Abundance, man. I go there, I get around them. Like, those are my guys. Like, that's where I find strength. We share. I can share stuff with them that I can't share with anybody else. We all need that. Go create that herd for yourself. Create your tribe, your group of like-minded people. And you don't find those people in your local offices. You don't find those people other than seminars, masterminds. Go invest in yourself. Seek a mentor. And lastly, just follow your vision. Your vision, you have a vision. Don't let your fear stop you from accomplishing it. And if you do those 5 things, those 5 keys, there is absolutely no doubt that not only will you live, one life fully lived, but through the process, you will be able to experience exceptional success. And that's what I want to leave you with. Go out there and always remember to be bold, take action, and make it happen. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, Hoss, this is Tim Rode. Boy, that sure was excellent. We appreciate you taking the time. There's just so many nuggets in there. It's unbelievable. It's funny, you and I have those are my 3 top mentors, Jim Rohn, Napoleon Hill, and Tony Robbins. Isn't that amazing? That I think, kind of tells you something, don't you think?
Those are the guys, yeah, and they're my board of directors as well.
So I got a couple of quick questions for you that came up while you were talking. Somebody asked, where will you be 5 years from now?
In 5 years from now, I will have, because right now I'm building our software company. I'm pouring myself into the software company. In 5 years from now, I've got a whole plan for my family. The thing is now we have kids, and at 25 I didn't have kids. I look at everything now through my children on where I want to be. Really, that it goes through my children's filter. It's more about what I need to do to give them those types of the things that I didn't have, but more importantly, doing it the right way, being on purpose with my kids. In 5 years, I'm going to be, my kids will be, the legacy. They'll be able to, hopefully, if I've achieved what I wanted to achieve in 5 years, my kids will be a reflection of that.
Sounds like that comes back to the balance wheel you talked about. So here's another question we had. What if you have a multiple ideas you'd like to do, but not sure which makes the most sense? And by the way, this is a question we get a lot in our community. What's your suggestion on kind of narrowing down when you got so many different ways to go? And I know, I'm challenged with that. I'm sure you are too. How do you pick the best ideas?
That's a great question. And it depends where you're at. I think, if you're trying to get started, you have all these great ideas, and maybe you don't yet have the stats, as I like to say, the record, and you need to go out there and you need to build the stats and build that record. I would choose the one that's going to, I don't want to say path of least resistance, but the one that has the least amount of obstacles. The one thing that you can do today to take action, that you can start there, accomplish that one idea, that one thing, and then go to the next thing, because through that victory you're going to gain confidence that will equip you for those other ideas that may be more challenging, and you'll gain more skills, and maybe there's skills that you currently don't have that you need to go develop, that maybe one of your ideas would allow you to develop.
Great answer, buddy. All right, last question. So you spent too much your first 6 months. I think the number was 50,000 you blew through.
Yeah.
You were down on your luck, not doing well. I know you hired a coach. I know that was one of them. But what other action steps did you take to turn it around?
I want to tell you this. This is why this is really important to have good people in your life. Like people that will hold your butt to the fire, that will hold you accountable, that will be real with you. Because at that time, I had a conversation with a family member, and I said, I'm failing. I'm not doing good. I'm not making this experience, what I hope to make it. And I'm thinking about moving back, and that fear started creeping in, that doubt. I mean, I was just down in the dumps. I was just beat down. It sucked. It was just brutal to sit there and go through, losing my life savings, and then I'm at this fork in the road. And I remember at that moment, I called my family member, and he says, "You know what? You're right. Come home. You tried. That says a lot. It's okay if you didn't make it. It's okay. You're better because you at least tried." And I was like, "Yeah, that's right." It's just like hanging on to every word he said. And then I call my mentor. I tell my mentor, I'm thinking about coming home. I'm thinking about throwing in the towel. I'm thinking about coming back, trying my lawn service again, right? And his next words to me were the words that I needed to hear. He said, "If you move back, you're going to throw away your life. You moving back is exactly what was going to prevent you from achieving greatness in your life." And he goes, "You got to burn the boats. You can never move back because moving back is failure." And he hung up the phone. And as soon as I got off that phone with him, I said, "He's right. I'm never moving back home, and I'm going to make it work." And I hired a coach. And I started going after people in the market. In real estate, I started going after FSBOs and expireds, people who didn't know me. And so I started calling expired listings and FSBOs in the area, and I focused on listings, and 30 days later, I had 30 listings in the ground.
Incredible. You know what
I want to leave that, though, Tim, because here's the thing. We all have those people in our life that mean well. That my family member meant well. And it wasn't, he didn't know any different. He didn't know any better. But it's up to you to all of us at those moments in our life where our life can go left or right. Just choose wisely. And it's not always the easiest thing to do, but it's always focused, you always choose the thing that's best for you.
That's beautiful. The best thing I absolutely love, burn the boats. That's
Amen.
The best one I've heard since Lockhead at GoBundance with put a moose on the hood.
Yeah, put a moose on the hood. Yeah.
Burn the boats.
Burn the boats. You know what, Cliff? Yeah. So when you're on that cliff and you're about to ski down it, you probably don't even have mountains that even scare you anymore. But I find myself sometimes when I'm on top of a mountain, I'm not near as good of a skier as you are, Tim, and I'm looking down that that black, and I'm terrified, and I just push off and I just say, "Burn the boats," right? Commit, be all in, and we go, and there's no other option. And it's served me well. I've always liked the burn the boats philosophy myself.
Well, we sincerely appreciate that. Hoss, you absolutely killed this webinar. I think you did a wonderful job. We also want to recognize you as a sustainer for One Life Fully Lived. Hoss literally pays out a fee every month to help us put on our conference. He's a great man. As you can tell, he's a master motivator. And I want you to look, if you can see that she got his action steps. It's write out your 100 things, create a vision board, make a 5-year vision statement, seek a mentor, follow your vision. I skipped one. Sign up for a seminar to attend. That's because the seminar you are to sign up and attend is our One Life Fully Lived conference, November 8th and 9th in Reno. We hope to see you all there. And Hoss, once again, thank you very, very much for this. All of our people listening live and the people who are going to hear it on the recordings, I know you heard something special. Hoss, thank you very much.
Awesome, Tim. Thank you guys, and keep it up. And I appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you.